Call of Duty just dropped a surprise teaser trailer for Black Ops 7 at the Xbox showcase yesterday, but the trailer actually hit a ton of important information about the campaign of Black Ops 7 and the story. So let's dive into what we know about the campaign, mixed with a little bit of theory to pull together the info we know and what we don't. Well, the campaign kicks off with David Mason, the hero of Black Ops 2, stepping back into the spotlight in the year 2035. Now an experienced operative, he is tasked with assessing the cutting-edge warfare technology of the US government. And his next stop, the Guild. The Guild is based on a former shadowy organization and crime family turned legitimate, trying to help the world through humanitarian aid and building weapons technology to defend the world when it's needed. They have advanced versions of Black Ops 2 technology, better drones, and the Claw from Black Ops 2 has now been upgraded with a bigger gun and a sleeker design to be called the Dog, D-A-W-G. However, they like to focus a little bit more on that humanitarian aid. You know, carrying burning buildings out of children, or carrying burning children into building. Wait, nope, I said that wrong, but I'm gonna keep rolling. While David's there though, his role is pretty straightforward: to go and evaluate the technology of the Guild and report on what he sees. But something is off in the Guild's luxurious city of Avalon. There's something hiding beneath the surface. And this is when David gets hands-on with the Guild's flagship technology. David gets to experience an early version of the Direct Neural Interface, the DNI system, an early version of the mind-linking system from Black Ops 3. And what starts out as a routine test quickly turns unsettling. David Mason is shown a pre-rendered kind of cutscene through the DNI, allowing him to see all these different things that the Guild is trying to do and what the world would look like if the Guild had their technology in front of everyone. David Mason gets the sense that the Guild is not what they see. They're trying to implant something in his head with the DNI system. And he finds very quickly that their plan is rooted in a decades-old grudge against Black Ops legends like Savati Dumas and Frank Woods, and then pushed further by David Mason's killing of their ally, Raul Menendez. The Guild isn't just building weapons, they're perfecting a tool for a new level of psychological warfare, using fear as their ultimate leverage. The DNI that he experiences isn't a gadget, it's a gateway to control. And this realization flips David Mason's mission on its head. His trust in the Guild is gone, and the story shifts to stopping their threat, a planned attack on the 10th anniversary of Raul Menendez's Cortes D video. The DNI becomes the thread that will weave through the rest of the madness. And as Call of Duty told us, you gotta embrace the madness. Now armed with the truth, David rejects the Guild's plans to work alongside the United States and teams up with an old ally, Mike Harper, miraculously alive after Black Ops 2, and if you want to know why, I have a video explaining the end of Black Ops 2 I'll link at the end of this video, but together they take the fight to Avalon, a sprawling crime-riddled city that's the Guild's operational hub. Picture an open-world playground for the rich, gritty streets, towering skyscrapers, and shadowy corners ripe for chaos. The duo, possibly joined by characters like Samuels, the Black Ops 6 Master Prestige operator, wage war against the Guild's infrastructure, targeting DNI service centers and tech factories. The fighting, however, in the campaign ramps up because you now have a co-op option for the campaign, letting you play the campaign solo or with a friend. And while in Avalon, David's discovery is confirmed, turning his defiance against what was a bad DNI experience into a physical battle against the Guild, trying to stop their plan. Avalon's open-world chaos will contrast the DNI's subtle menace and the visions that David Mason soon starts to experience. Now, as David Mason fights in Avalon, the DNI he tested starts to claw at his psyche, and it's no accident. The Guild designed the DNI to infiltrate and manipulate, dragging David Mason's mind into a simulation that blurs reality and nightmare. And this isn't some glitch, it's a targeted attack, implanted memories, weaponizing David's fears and the Black Ops legacy against him. The simulation conjures Raul Menendez to torment him, but it goes deeper, pulling David through haunting locales tied to franchise icons, like Kowloon, Hong Kong, where we get to see Jason Hudson's fear, the first time he ever encountered Nova 6 actually being used, and realized he couldn't stop the weapon. He was being reliant on a miracle. That had to be the most fearful moment in Jason Hudson's life. And then we see the jungle shipping containers, a tight, sweaty maze recalling Wood's torture in Black Ops 2, where he was locked in a shipping container with his dead comrades in the jungle for weeks, and then finally rescued by Alex Mason. Then we get to see the snowy landscape and the bodies of Stalingrad from the memories of Viktor Reznov, his fear of dying in a German assault defending his homeland. But interestingly, this next one is a little different. The numbers room from Black Ops 1, where Alex Mason was broken, now targeting his son. The same TVs used to save his father are now staring down David menacingly, and the table that's laying horizontally in the middle of the room was the same table that Alex Mason was experimenting on. You can actually almost hear the famous quote, "Have you subscribed to my channel yet?" And also,
"What do you want from me?"
"You want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted."
And finally, the one that was interesting to me is that we actually see Raul Menendez's compound from Time and Fate in Black Ops 2, where his greatest fear came true, losing his sister, which set off the events of Black Ops 2. So all of these inflicted memories of fear that David Mason is experiencing aren't just from the Black Ops heroes, they're also from the Black Ops villains. And it makes me wonder how many of these nightmares we're going to experience in the Black Ops 6 campaign. Now, this mental assault builds on the Avalon conflict, raising the stakes by threatening David's mind. The simulation is becoming the story's kind of emotional peak, linking his struggle to the series' past, and I predict that little red butterfly that we see in the trailer and we see in all the simulations starts to emerge in the real world for David Mason. But what's up with this little red butterfly? Well, first of all, the red butterfly is almost like a guide to David Mason, trying to show him the way out of these simulations. And when his little red butterfly flies into the TV in Black Ops 7, which he then taps and breaks, it's literally his subconscious fighting against the DNI's grip. The red butterfly is the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, trying to lead David Mason to safety. But then there's Emily Kagan, the guild CEO, who's talking on the hologram in the background when David touches the screen. She's talking on a pre-recorded message, but when David touches the screen and shatters it, she stops talking, and she starts staring at David Mason with no expression. To me, this marks her as the mastermind behind the psychological warfare, bringing up the question, what does Emily Kagan have to do with the Black Ops 7 story? To me, these are kind of symbolically deepening the narrative, building on the simulation's chaos, and the butterfly hints at David's resilience, while Kagan ties the mind games back to the guild, setting up a personal story for David Mason, someone who actually brainwashed him and he could go and kill. Now, the best way to narratively fit these two parts together is that every time Mason destroys a point of interest in Avalon, he is forced to confront the fear of one of his predecessors. Each time, it is harder and harder to escape. And as he gets closer to the end, Menendez and the butterfly keep appearing in the real world, making you question what is a simulation and what is real. And I think at this moment, when he can't tell what's real or fake, he has no choice but, as to Call of Duty said, embrace the madness. Now, based on what's out there, Black Ops 7 promises a campaign that flows from a tense meeting to a citywide co-op brawl, if you want to go co-op, different scenes that result in a simulation within David Mason's mind where he has to struggle to escape. It's a story of betrayal, resistance, and the mind as the battlefield of the future, kind of being what we saw in Black Ops 3, where everything was somewhat taking place in the mind. This is all speculative until we get more information, but this is the story based on everything that we know about Black Ops 7.